Um, so we're going to be biasing a deadlift or hinge shape today. We're going to warm up with some glute bridges. I have single leg or double. So you'll see three things on part A, but that first one is 10 per side single leg or 10 glute bridges. So that's just one item. The second item is 10 per side donkey kick into a fire hydrant. Which we've done both those things. We're going to do it together this time. A little hamstring glute warm up. Um, and then the main block is going to be 4 sets of 8 per side, single leg deadlift, or for those of you who have access, I'm not sure anyone currently present falls in that category, but if you have access to a bigger weight, so single leg is helpful, but you're like, I can go heavier and I can use 2 feet, we can do a 2-footed deadlift with something heavier. So again, single leg or 2-footed options here. And then 8 push-ups into to toe reaches or basically down dogs. That's what it looks like. You're doing right and left for the toe reach or touching the knees. And then we're going to finish off with a bit of core work with tuck-ups, a bit of thrusters, and some mixed grip marching steps. We'll make sure we go over all that again. But let's get moving a little bit, shall we? If you have any limitations, you can either DM me or tell me, and we'll get rolling. Let's start with, since the Californians in the room are cold, let's start with some arm circles. I know it's a bit out of order, but I'm gonna do this kneeling. You can do this standing, and I'll remove my giant parka shortly. Thumbs should be pointed up, right? I just want to look like an Oompa Loompa. I can't do it. I have to. It's too much. Arm circles. Thumbs are up. T shape. Yeah, do it the best you can, Joseph. It's okay. Once you have 10 one direction, come back to around 90. If it's a little rough, you could drop the hands. Make it a little easier. Round 10-ish. Let's go forward and back. Go across. Go thumbs pointed down. So thumbs are down, elbows straight. If you need to drop the hands a little, it'll take it out of the neck a little more. So the neck doesn't take as much of a load on this. We tend to get necky when we go up and over. So the higher this goes, the harder it gets. All right. Good. We're going to tend the opposite direction. Those elbows straight. So I'd rather have smaller circles than straight elbows. There you go. Okay. Let's come down back to the floor. I know we just all got up. Let's go ahead and do our cows. So back to our normal, regularly scheduled programming, except we're going to be going 10 reps here-ish. We have 10 of these. Let's do our bird dogs next, alternating arms and legs. Lifting leg only as much as you keep that pelvis nice and flat. Squeeze your butt before you lift. The arm is optional. I'd rather just bias the legs if that's going to be a balance issue. Once you have 10 of these, we're gonna get a rotate, what do you call it? Thread the needles, open up the chest, reach through. You're doing this 3 times per direction. It's okay to notice any rotational differences. Good. So 6 total, 3 per side. We're gonna do our 90-90s next, right? Feet are forward, shoulder width, and you can't see my toes, that's okay. Gonna rotate to one side, rotate to the other side. Hopefully it's feeling relatively gentle. Hopefully there is a gap between your heel and your knee. Just a little one, doesn't need a big one. So we're not on top, they're not touching or on top of each other, right? There's a bit of a gap. Okay, once you have 10 or so back and forth, each time you rotate is 1. I'm gonna have you come to a standing position. I'm gonna show you as much as my body is possible, but I'm gonna actually just show you something in the middle. So I think that's okay here. And I'll verbally describe what I'm doing. So I'm gonna have my feet squat width, whatever that is for you, okay? Hands are above my head. You can't see my hands, but trust me, they're above my head. Okay, I'm gonna squat down, whatever that is. I'm gonna show you from the side. Squatting down. I'm gonna bring my hands towards the ground. If that's not an option for me, I might put my hands on my shins or my knees, raise my hips up, right? Squat back down again, hands back up. That's 1 rep. If you're more flexible, you have more options. Maybe it's here, hands on the ground instead. It's off this hip hamstring stretch, be gentle. Squat back down, hands back up, right? So I'm gonna walk you through that. So have your feet at squat width, hands above your head. Go ahead and squat down to the squat you can manage. From there, hands on your shins, your toes, or the floor in front of you. If you can raise up the hips, let's raise the hips. If you can't, that's okay. Drop your hips back down to your squat shape. Hands back up over your head. Good, that's 1. Beautiful, nailed it. You're doing that 4 more times, not for speed. Okay. It's okay if you're not touching the ground with your hands. Just give yourself a landmark to touch with your hands. You're completing a total of 5. We did 1 together. The remaining 4 are at your own pace. Good. Nice job. Okay, this is just a nice kind of full body assessment, if you will. We're gonna start with talking about our glute bridges, right? So this is a couplet to start. You can come to seated or right if you'd like. We can go 2-footed or we can go with a single leg iteration. They are both great. So what we have going on here, right? So we have our glute bridge, 2-footed, lift the hips, come back down. Pretty straightforward, right? No problem. You can even, if you want, optional, not required, add a weight. Put a weight. This is, I know I'm black on black here. My dumbbells on my hips. You can do this guy if you want, just to stop from rolling toward your chest. You're like, no, thank you. I'll go single legged. We can go little B stance. So my working leg, the one closer to you. And then I'm working my left leg right now. And then I can switch after 10. Or you can go full lift of that leg. Right, so those are both single leg variations. Your donkey kick and fire hydrants, we've done these before, but we're just gonna put them together. So the donkey kick is keeping your back flat or neutral. Let's squeeze my butt. If it helps, I have a little towel heel here. You don't have to, it's just helpful sometimes to squeeze something. You can kick, that's your donkey kick, and your lateral kick is that one. So your fire hydrant. So keep back, one. So you're gonna go back inside, two. So back gets hamstring glute, side gets lateral hip. Towel is optional, it is not required. Okay. We're doing 10 of each thing. Cool. Let's get this party started. Go ahead and lay on down. When you're ready, you're gonna complete your either 10 per side glute bridges or your 10 glute bridges. When you're ready, y'all, go for it. If you have questions, please don't be hesitate to ask. You're completing these 2 things, total of 3 times. It's okay to notice a difference per leg on that single leg glute bridge if you're choosing that option. The height here on the donkey kick, that's the back, and that kind of fire hydrant, that's the side, are not critical. What is keeping the pelvis relatively flat. So you might find in doing so, you're not going to go as high as you might expect. Or at least I'll speak for myself. I don't go as high as I would have expected. Try not to let a back move too much, Meg. Yeah, there you go. Nice job. You can rest. If you're going to cramp or something's going to go, don't let that cramp. Okay. You could also reduce the reps. So if 10 feels like too many, especially for these kicks, you can reduce them down a few reps to make it feel manageable. Probably. That's your first set once you've done both sides. Unfortunately, you can't do the donkey kicks and the fire hydrants at the same time. Actually, you probably could, but that'd be very impressive. Nice work, y'all. On the glute bridges, if you're having trouble finding that feeling in your butt, you experiment with your foot position. So if it feels a little bit in the front of the leg, the quad, the part where your squats, bring that leg farther away from you just a little. Make that shin angle less vertical, right? Or this way, you want to, or this way. Feels a little hamstringy. No glutes. Your feet are probably a little bit too far away from you, or unless you want to work your hamstrings. Subtle, but if you're having trouble feeling that, that can help. Nice work. I think everyone's either in or approaching round 3. 3 of 3. Nice work. In that tabletop position, imagine you have a glass of water on your low back and you don't want it to spill. It's okay if it does, not the end of the world, but it's a little bit uncomfortable. So basically, we're trying to avoid, if you need a visual, any excessive change of the spine, right? Or change of the hip position, right? So we're trying to keep things pretty level as we go through this. Beautiful. Well, the hood's off. It's a good sign.
Yeah, warm it up.
Good.
Was it 3 rounds?
Correct.
Okay, perfect.
3 total. I think most people into their final reps on the donkey things. Donkey kicks and the fire hydrants. Beautiful work. How are your butts feeling? Warmed up?
My butt's warm.
Good.
Toasty butt.
That's good because you're gonna need it to deadlift. We have 8 per side on the single leg deadlift. Okay, Joseph, you can finish off. Not a big deal. 8 per side on your single leg deadlift variations, or a total of 8, right? Deadlifts. That's still a fair amount of deadlifts if you're talking about heavier loads, but heavier relative to, let's say, my 10-pound dumbbell. 8's probably okay. So you can change that volume as in make 8 less than 8 if that feels like you need to. We're still in season, the part of the season where lifting heavy is good, right? We're not getting too much volume just yet. So single leg deadlifts or deadlifts. I realize my dump weights are relatively small, but that's okay. The principle still applies. You've done single leg deadlifts more than enough times now. This can be something where if you have 2 heavier weights, okay, I have 2 weights in hand, all right, I can from the side kind of go, right, either touch the ground. If my weights are small, which they kind of are for me, what I might do is grab some yoga blocks or 2 maybe cookbooks, which I have a lot of those at home, and touch them instead, right? So basically set up myself so I close that gap between me and the floor. So I'm not reaching too far. So essentially, I'm gonna go ahead, reach. I may or might not touch ground. I can touch, but I might, grab something for this or do this more, right? It's my 2-footed. If I have 1 heavier weight, maybe 1 heavier kettlebell, same idea. Gonna have the weight between you, right? Touch. So we have our 2-footed version. And of course we have our normal good old fashioned deadlift this way or deadlift this way, right? Both are gonna be great here, 8 per leg. The push-up to a toe reach, right and left, essentially is a push-up into a down dog. We're just gonna reach for our toes. If you don't touch your toes, that's fine. You can touch your knees or your shins just like we did before. So we have our push up, right? Unassisted or assisted. So unassisted, push up, toe reach. I'm not going to move my feet, right? But I am going to reach for them. So I might just touch my shin. That's 1, 2 for a second rep. Push up. 1, 2. I'll do a total of 8. You can, of course, take a break between those 2 things and within your push-ups. If you need to grab your weights, go ahead and grab your weights. Or, whatever equipment you think you might need here. You can adapt our push-ups to our knees, of course, always, and just do the toe or knee reaches in your full plank shape. When you're ready, let's do our 8 reps per leg for lighter and the weights options, or a little heavier, 8 total. Keeping that chest up. So if there's a name tag or a logo on your shirt, I should see it at all times. Yeah, there we go. So with the single leg version, you may not touch the ground. It's okay. I'd rather bias an upright torso or seeing your name tag. Their weight sizes will vary.
Oh, yeah, I gotta do them on my knee. So one interesting thing is that full-legged, straight leg push-ups, and I found the same with downward dog or
Extending leg.
yeah, hyperextension makes my knee still pop. So just
Yeah, that's okay. If
it's
you're
not the knee is actually getting really strong right now, but the hyperextension, it kind of
yeah.
I think the lateral muscle is still popping around the bone edema.
Yeah, so in which case, when you're reaching, hips above head, you can keep the legs bent. Right? Like this way instead of extending. Right? Yeah. So maybe it's no reach. That's okay. Maybe it's just head through the top. That's okay. That might be too much to support on one hand and bend the knees. Can't reach your toes, just reach for your shins or your knees. That's okay.
Yeah, that's very neat.
That's okay. I forgot, like, the extension of the knee is a problem. Is that hyperextension or is it regular extension for you, Meg?
It anything where it's like super straight is still a little tense.
Okay.
But running, biking,
Yeah.
yeah. And then on the biking, it's big gear work or standing is still a little knee. I can do it now though. I can tolerate it. And
Good.
as long as it's under 2, I can keep doing it. So it's getting stronger.
Good. Nice work, y'all. We're doing up to 4 sets of this. If that 4 rounds or 4 sets feels like a lot, either reduce the total volume. So I might, instead of 8 reps, I might do like 6 per set. Or I'm going to knock off set altogether and do 3. But use your discretion here, right? I'm your coach, but I'm not, capital T coach. So, or capital C, I guess, really is what I'm talking about here. But I don't do most majority of your endurance programming. So if that's not fitting for you, adjust accordingly. If it's kind of hard and you don't want to do it, do it. That's not an excuse not to do
Get up.
it. Yeah, not wanting to versus you shouldn't be is 2 different things. Um, good. Have a unique angle on your knee on that, Meg. Next time you do your deadlifts, come back around. Start with your knee slightly slightly bent
Okay.
instead of like locked out, and see if that can,
Yeah, the single leg deadlifts aren't bothering me at all.
yeah, no, they don't
Yeah.
look bad. Like
Oh,
it's basically you're starting with like really, really straight, and then you're starting unlocking the knee, and we unlock the knee before you start the lift. When we stack our joints, it feels much easier, and it's a very clever way of making something feel less hard. But when we're trying to load the hamstring or one leg at a time, it's helpful to get the musculature to start to work with you. There you go. And then, yeah, there you go. A little wobbly on the knee is okay as long as it's not painful. Um, your body is just problem solving. Take your time through these, resting either between movements or within a set of movements is fine. With the deadlifts, you can rest between legs too. Here, watch out for that chest dropping forward, right? Remember that name tag idea? Can't tell. Yeah, that's it. So my range of motion might be smaller or less deep than you expect. You get depth by bending your knee, not by dropping your chest. Although they feel the same, oddly enough, most of the time. Nice work. I think goes without saying, if they're reaching for the opposite foot or reaching one hand up off of that push-up is too much, you can just remove the reach. So it might be a push-up down dog instead. That feels inappropriate. But everyone here seems pretty okay with that. Yep. A little airplane action. Balancing is fine. You have a guest? I wish my cat would do that. Would never intentionally sit between my legs. She'd be like, "Oh, I'm here. Why am I here?" And then run away. Every time. Is Min a lap cat or no? Yeah. I secretly want one, but when I knit, I don't want one because I don't want cat and knitting in the same spot. Beautiful. As we're finishing up 4th set, I'm going to talk about the last piece. It's okay to keep your ears open if you're still moving. I have 5 rounds written down. We'll see what happens here. The rest here within these workings, within this workout is self-selected, meaning I want you to rest as long as you think you need to rest, right? But also not so long that, you know, you're ready to check out and stop working out. So we have a fair amount of volume today. Again, you can adjust this accordingly. 5 total rounds, sets, however you want to think of it. We're going to start with 20 tuck-ups. This is just an ab piece. If you don't like tuck-ups, I'm going to show you in a second, do something else. 20, you can adjust the volume depending on difficulty. A tuck-up was where you start lying down, feet extended, hands above your head. You're going to bring your hands to your heels. You're not bringing your hands to your heels like this. You're going to bring them to them like this. So I'm going to touch my heels. That's too much. Maybe I go right hand, left foot, so my other leg stays down. Okay. So it's about bringing the chest up so we can have alternating, or here. You can do V-ups, but that's a lot of V-ups. V-ups is just the long leg version where we, right, come up that way, right? That's a lot of V-ups. I wouldn't do that, but that's too hard for me. That's our first movement. Second one is our thruster. So I'm going to show you, it's a squat, and then we're going to stand up and press a weight overhead. So that could be a singular weight overhead. That could be 2 weights overhead. Okay. If you have 2 kettlebells, it's doable, but a little weird. You can hold them here, right? So as you come up, they come back over the shoulder, right? So it works. The front rack's slightly different, but it can work. So singular object or double here is an option. You can even just do it with your hands. If you mime a thruster, if you do 10 of them, this will still challenging. I'll show you in a second. And then 10 per hand mixed grip marching steps. So 2 objects again, if you have the luxury of doing so. Mixed grip just means not even. So meaning, instead of, let's say, carrying my weights like this, right, next to me, maybe I'm going to have one by my side and one on my shoulder. Or maybe I have one on my shoulder, overhead, or, right, just not even. Okay, bringing marching steps. 1, 2, I'm walking, making this weird, right? I can mix it up, right? Just a bit of balance. That's all that is. Your thruster, okay? Trust me that I'm gonna start squatting here because I can't show the whole thing. I have 2 weights on my shoulders. I'm gonna squat down and press, right? It is 1 motion, not 2. You can make it 2 to make it easier. So 1 this way, 2 is gonna be stand, press for a second. You can go single object if you have dumbbell. Okay, 1. It could be squat, press. All right, kettlebell, doable, but a little weird. Okay. So you have 1 ab piece at the beginning. That's 20 reps. If 20 feels like a lot, reduce the volume, cut it in half. Followed by 20 tuck-ups, followed by 10 thrusters. Your heart rate being a little high on that one. We're going to take those weights. If you have the option to change it, you're going to do 10 per hand position. So 10 this way or this way, whatever, 10 this way, and you're going to switch. So 20 total steps. Does any of that make sense? Or maybe not make sense and you want to ask a question? Beautiful.
Okay, sorry, Rick, quick question. I forgot what the thruster is. Can you just quick demo it or speak it?
It's a squat into a press.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I got you. Yep.
If you prefer squat and press, great. That. No problem. We're going to do up to 5 rounds. If that feels like a lot, Okay, you're like the volume, there's too much. Do less or reduce the number of reps per round. So I'm just gonna, as written, 5 rounds, 20 tuck-ups, 10 thrusters, and 10 per hand position mixed ripped marching steps. When you're ready, my friends, let's start with our tuck-ups. We're gonna be on our backs here. I know you can't all be on screen, that's okay. When you're ready, 20 reps of your favorite ab piece. I have tuck-ups here. You can do something different, frankly, but a core piece of your choice. You can go alternating on the tuck-ups if that feels more appropriate. After your tuck-ups, we're doing 10 thrusters. So singular object or double. Nice. Yeah, nice, Maxine. Respecting whatever the shoulders are saying. So you don't have to lock out the arms if that's not feeling like an option.
I haven't been able to lift that this heavy that far.
I was gonna say, it looks great. But I mean, this goes for anyone, even if they didn't have a shoulder reconstruction. Respect what the body's saying. So if you can't get bicep by ears, just go to whatever it says and make sure the weight is something that is tolerable. And that might mean it's lighter than you think.
That was exciting.
Yeah. Good. Keep that weight up into your chest when you carry. So we're going to keep it here, even when you squat. Yeah. There you go. Yep. Just like that. Yeah. There you go. Nice work on the thrusters. That's squatting to a press. The thrusters is one movement. If you need to make it 2, a squat and press, that's okay. We're doing 20 total marching steps. We're switching our hand position, or, however you're, mixing up that grip. Just think vacation. This is what we're practicing for. If it helps, you can literally march somewhere. It's able to go places. That's fine. You do not have to stay in place for your marching steps. Nice job. Nice. Finishing round 1 from any of us. Just imagine walking through the airport here like this. You're gonna be walking through the airport like this.
We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that next week. That's how we're marching through the airport.
I mean, look, no one's gonna bother you if you walk through the airport like this. That, or they're like, ma'am, are you okay? And you're like, yes, I'm fine, thank you.
Come this way, ma'am.
To this unmarked room with no windows. Nice job. Everyone seems to do a great job here. If you start to suffer from like neck and shoulder tension that feels unnecessarily difficult, go ahead and default to a dead bug. Way less sexy, but still equally effective. And your head and neck will thank you later. Good. Yeah, with the marching steps, they don't have to be big. They could just be like regular, like not marching band steps. I guess I've never been a marching band, but you don't have to exaggerate the height of that step. It could just be a regular step up and step down. You're gonna find rest in some capacity between movements, the end of each round. But you're gonna self-select that. Let's work out either at or approaching that halfway mark. Go. Squat, and then if you can, press overhead. Yeah, there you go. It's okay if the arms aren't straight above your head, Carrie, just as long as you, whatever feels manageable from a range of motion perspective. Sometimes the dumbbell's a little narrow, so do the best you can. You can rest on the ground. That's a great place to rest. Yeah. Pre-tuck ups, but not quite. Yeah. Just gonna. Oh, I swear. Nice workout. Counting your own rounds here, you're doing a total of, at least as written, total of 5.
That was 4.
Good. Yeah, I think everyone's either well past 3. I think it's reasonable to say. Everyone is kind of slightly different on pace, but Nice work. It is okay to modify your movements throughout the workout. So starting at maybe a certain level, maybe a little more difficult or more, let's say, more challenging or skill-based, and reduce that down as your rounds tick on. Yeah, nice job. There you go. Final. Either set or around for most of us. If you're finished, it's okay to just hang out for a second. I'll also say this much for those of you still working, and you are more than welcome to finish this round. You have 4 minutes remaining on the session, so you can either stop where you are or continue. There's no wrong answer. It's not a trick. Okay, there's no like.
I did 5 rounds, but since I didn't do all 20 tuck ups, I did like 15. I
Yeah.
did dead bugs at the end. They were great.
Great.
Thank you, Coach.
Yeah, I was gonna say sometimes too, it's okay. There's a lot of tuck ups, like 20 is a lot. So I think adjusting to 15, very reasonable. Like I like the dead bug as a default. It works for most people, or even a dead bug hold. Not sexy, but I promise effective when done well. With our 3 remaining minutes, I know, Carrie, keep rolling. You're doing great. If you want a baby stretch, or a little recovery, if you will, we can just take a sneaky half kneeling position. So I'm going to show you my half kneeling here. So half kneeling just means, right, I'm just half kneeling. I'm going to make sure my butt is squeezed, right? This is just allows me to open up this hip. I'm going to gently lean forward, right? And that's only if I have room here. So a little stretch here, right? If I want to get a little hamstring, I don't have to, it's a bonus. I can lean hips back. This knee is bent for me. Oh, you can't see it much, but this is going to allow me to do a little hamstring stretch. I can just oscillate back and forth a couple times. You don't have to straighten that knee. That's okay. Especially you can flex the foot if it helps, but you don't need to like straighten the knee. That's causing some discomfort. We'll switch sides.
This one, Joseph's signature move, this part.
Is it?
This one is, yes.
I like it. It's a nice little hip opener. Nikki Brown wants to say hello.
Did he bring coffee?
Good morning, Nikki. Of course he brought coffee.
Oh yeah, you get free refills during